Listen, I need you to stop what you're doing and really hear what I'm about to tell you. Right now, as you're listening these words, there's a version of you living the life you dream about. They're waking up in the home you've always wanted, doing work that lights them up, surrounded by love and abundance, feeling confident and alive in ways you can barely imagine. And here's what's going to absolutely blow your mind. That version isn't some fantasy floating in your imagination. It's as real as the chair you're sitting in right now. You see, I've spent years diving deep into the intersection of quantum physics, neuroscience, consciousness research, and human potential, and what I've discovered will shake you to your core. Your reality isn't fixed. It's not carved in stone by some cosmic force. It's not determined by your past, your circumstances, or your current bank account. It's a frequency you're tuned into, like a radio station, and you have the power to change the channel anytime you want. But here's the tragedy. Nobody ever told you this. You've been walking around thinking you're stuck with whatever hand life dealt you, when in reality you're the dealer, the player, and you can reshuffle the deck whenever you choose. There is an invisible prison around you. You didn't know you built. Let's get brutally honest about where you are right now, because I know you can feel it. You're trapped in a loop, aren't you? Same thoughts spinning in your head like a broken record player that won't stop. Same emotional reactions to the same triggers. Same choices leading to the same outcomes. Same conversations with the same people about the same problems. You wake up, and within minutes, your brain is running the same program it ran yesterday. Worry about money, stress about relationships, anxiety about the future, regret about the past, and by the time you go to bed, you've essentially lived the same day again, just with slightly different external details. And here's the kicker. You think this is just how life is. You've been conditioned, programmed, hypnotized into believing that change is hard, that success is for other people, that you need to work your way up through years of struggle and sacrifice. You've accepted that dreams are nice, but reality is harsh, that you should be realistic about your expectations. But what if I told you that's the biggest, most devastating lie you've ever been sold? What if I told you that this acceptance of limitation is exactly what keeps you locked in a reality that feels smaller than your dreams? The truth is, you're not stuck because you're broken, inadequate, or unlucky. You're stuck because your brain has been wired, through repetition and reinforcement, to stay loyal to the familiar. Your nervous system has been trained to reject anything that feels different from what it already knows, even if what it knows is making you miserable. Every time you focus on what went wrong yesterday, you're programming tomorrow to look just like it. Every time you worry about what might go wrong in the future, you're bleeding energy out of the only moment where reality can actually shift. Right here, right now, in this present moment where infinite possibilities exist. There is a scientific revolution that changes everything. Let me share something with you that will completely reframe everything you think you know about reality. In 1909, scientists performed what would become known as the double-slit experiment, and it literally shattered our understanding of how the universe works at its most fundamental level. They fired tiny electrons through two slits toward a wall, expecting them to behave like tiny particles, like marbles going through doorways. But when no one was watching, when the electrons were left to do their thing without observation, something impossible happened. The electrons acted like waves, somehow passing through both slits simultaneously, creating an interference pattern that should have been physically impossible. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-bending. The moment someone decided to observe the experiment, literally just to look at what was happening, the electrons suddenly chose to behave like particles again. They picked one slit or the other, like they were suddenly aware of being watched and said, okay, fine, I'll follow the rules now. Think about that for a moment. Let it really sink in. At the quantum level, the very foundation of our universe, the building blocks of everything that exists, observation creates reality. The act of watching literally changed the outcome. Reality behaved differently depending on whether a conscious observer was involved. Einstein hated this discovery so much that he spent years trying to disprove it, famously saying, God does not play dice with the universe. But even his brilliant mind couldn't deny the results. Scientists like Niels Bohr, Erwin Schrödinger, and Werner Heisenberg All came to the same mind-blowing conclusion. At the quantum level, consciousness matters. Observation influences outcome. Now, some scientists will argue this only applies to subatomic particles and has nothing to do with daily life. But here's where things get fascinating. If our entire universe is built from particles that behave this way, if the very foundation of reality is probabilistic and influenced by observation, then why wouldn't your thoughts, your attention, your expectations have some effect on what shows up in your life? Your consciousness is the ultimate technology. Your attention isn't passive. It's not just a spotlight that illuminates what's already there. It's a quantum trigger, a creative force that collapses possibilities into reality. Every time you focus on something, you're not just noticing it, you're participating in its creation. Nikola Tesla, one of history's most brilliant minds, understood this long before modern science had the language to explain it. He said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Tesla wasn't being poetic or mystical. He was being scientifically precise. He understood that consciousness is a transmitter, broadcasting frequencies that influence the field of possibilities around you. Tesla didn't just invent AC power and the radio. He visualized entire inventions in complete detail before ever building them physically. He would construct machines in his mind, run them, test them, improve them, all in his imagination. Only after perfecting them mentally would he bring them into physical form. And they worked perfectly, exactly as he had envisioned them. This wasn't fantasy or daydreaming. This was Tesla understanding that reality begins in consciousness and then manifests in the physical world. He was essentially hacking the quantum field decades before we had a name for it. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human psyche, discovered something equally profound. He realized that your unconscious mind isn't just personal. It's connected to something he called the collective unconscious, a field of shared human experience and possibility. From this understanding, he gave us the concept of synchronicity, those strange, impossible coincidences that feel too targeted to be random. You think of someone, and they call you. You need a solution, and the perfect book falls off a shelf in front of you. You shift your mindset about money, and suddenly job offers start appearing. Jung didn't think these were accidents. He saw them as evidence that consciousness is interconnected, that shifts in your inner world create ripples in the outer world. Modern neuroscience has validated what Tesla and Jung intuited. Your brain doesn't just record reality like a passive camera. It actively predicts and constructs it. It filters out 95% of the information available to your senses and feeds you only what it expects to see based on your past experiences and current beliefs. This is why two people can walk into the same room and leave with completely different experiences. This is why once you start focusing on something, red cars, pregnant women, a particular word, it starts showing up everywhere. Your brain is literally constructing your version of reality in real time, based on what you've programmed it to notice and expect. I want you to imagine something powerful with me. Do you know about the story of the 4-minute mile? For centuries, literally hundreds of years, running a mile in under 4 minutes was considered not just difficult, but physiologically impossible. Doctors declared that the human heart would explode from the effort. Athletes believed it was a barrier that could never be broken. It was accepted scientific fact that the human body simply couldn't do it. The medical establishment had proof. They had evidence. They had logical explanations for why it was impossible. And for decades, no one could break through this barrier. The collective belief in limitation created a reality where limitation was all anyone could experience. Then one man, Roger Bannister, decided to stop observing the limitation and start observing the possibility. He began training not just his body, but his mind. He visualized breaking the barrier. He felt it in his imagination. He rehearsed it mentally over and over until it felt more real than the supposed impossibility. On May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister ran the mile in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. Shattering what had been considered an absolute human limit. But here's the truly extraordinary part. Within just 6 weeks, Another runner broke Bannister's record. Within 2 months, dozens of other runners had broken the same impossible barrier. Nothing changed in human physiology overnight. Their hearts didn't evolve. Their lungs didn't suddenly become more efficient. But something profound shifted in the field of human possibility. Once one person proved it could be done, that single act collapsed a new timeline into collective consciousness. The old limitations simply ceased to exist. That's quantum observation in action. That's proof of how consciousness shapes reality. Bannister didn't just run fast. He demonstrated what happens when one person stops being hypnotized by collective limitation and chooses to align with a new possibility. Right now, your life is your personal quantum laboratory. Every day, you're conducting experiments in consciousness. Even if you don't realize it, every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every expectation you hold is like adjusting the dials on a quantum radio, tuning into different frequencies of possibility. When you wake up stressed about money, you're tuning into the frequency of scarcity, and your quantum radio starts picking up signals that match that frequency. Bills in the mail, unexpected expenses, people talking about financial struggles. When you assume people won't like you, you're broadcasting that expectation, and you'll notice all the subtle signs that seem to confirm your assumption while completely missing the signals of acceptance and interest. But here's your power. The moment you become conscious of this process, you can begin to direct it intentionally. Instead of being a passive victim of your unconscious programming, you can become the conscious director of your quantum experiments. I've witnessed ordinary people create extraordinary transformations using these principles. I've seen a single mother go from food stamps to financial freedom by shifting her identity from struggling survivor to abundant creator. Instead of constantly focusing on what she lacked, she began embodying the energy of someone who always had enough, who always found solutions, who was supported by the universe. Her circumstances didn't change overnight, but her frequency did, and slowly reality began to reorganize around this new signal. I've watched a chronically shy introvert become a confident public speaker by rehearsing that version of himself daily until it became more real than his old identity. He didn't wait to feel confident before speaking. He started speaking as if he were already confident, and the confidence followed the action. I've seen people heal from chronic pain by changing the story they told about their bodies, shifting from broken and helpless to healing and powerful. I've witnessed relationship transformations when people stopped broadcasting the frequency of unworthy of love and started embodying deeply deserving of connection. These aren't miracles. These aren't special people with magical powers. They're examples of what happens when you stop being a passive observer of your life and start being the conscious director of your quantum reality. The quantum field responds to who you're being. Here's what traditional success advice gets wrong. It tells you to work harder, think positive, set goals, and push through obstacles. But quantum shifting works differently. It's not about forcing outcomes through effort. It's about becoming the vibrational match for what you want to experience. Reality doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you're being. If you want abundance, but you're being someone who worries about money, you're sending mixed signals. If you want love, but you're being someone who feels unworthy, you're broadcasting from the wrong frequency. The quantum field is infinitely intelligent, but it's also completely neutral. It doesn't judge your desires or evaluate whether you deserve them. It simply responds to the signal you're consistently broadcasting through your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions. This is why affirmations alone don't work. Saying I am wealthy while feeling anxious about bills creates cognitive dissonance. Your conscious mind might repeat the words, but your subconscious, which is running 95% of your life, knows you're lying. The quantum field reads your authentic vibration, not your wishful thinking. Let me give you a comprehensive roadmap. 7 distinct stages that will transform you from someone who reacts to reality to someone who consciously creates it. Stage 1, radical awareness. Becoming the observer. Before you can shift, you must develop what psychologists call meta-awareness. Awareness of your thoughts as thoughts, not as absolute truth. Most people are completely unconscious passengers in their own lives, running on autopilot programs installed years ago. Start by observing your internal dialogue like a scientist studying a fascinating subject. Notice the stories you tell yourself about what's possible. Pay attention to the emotional states you habitually inhabit. Become aware of the assumptions you make about yourself, other people, and how the world works. This isn't about judging yourself or trying to change anything yet. It's about creating space between you and your thoughts, between your identity and your programming. When you can observe your patterns without being controlled by them, you've taken the first crucial step toward quantum shifting. Keep a consciousness journal. Write down the repetitive thoughts you notice, the emotional patterns that show up, the beliefs that seem to run your life automatically. This awareness alone begins to loosen the grip of unconscious programming. Stage 2. Vivid future visioning. Defining your quantum destination. The quantum field responds to specificity, not vague wishes. You can't shift into a better life. That's too blurry for the universe to lock onto. You need crystal clear, emotionally charged, sensory-rich visions of exactly what you want to experience. This isn't daydreaming or wishful thinking. This is quantum programming. When you create detailed mental movies of your desired reality, you're literally building neural pathways that your brain will later use to navigate toward that experience. What does your ideal day look like from the moment you wake up? What kind of energy do you carry in your body? How do people respond to you? What does your environment look, smell, and sound like? How do you feel about yourself? What thoughts naturally arise in your mind? Write out your vision in present tense, as if it's already happening. Include emotional details, physical sensations, specific conversations, and even the seemingly small moments that make life feel magical. The more vivid and detailed your vision, the easier it becomes for your subconscious to use it as a blueprint. Stage 3. Emotional frequency matching. Becoming the vibration. Here's where most people completely miss the mark. They try to think their way into a new reality, but reality responds to frequency, and frequency is determined by emotion, not logic. You must learn to feel grateful before the blessing arrives, confident before the success manifests, loved before the relationship appears. This isn't fake it till you make it positivity. This is quantum physics. Your emotional state creates your energetic signature, and the universe responds to that signature by delivering experiences that match it. The key is understanding that emotions are not reactions to circumstances. They're choices you can make independent of what's happening around you. You can choose to feel abundant while looking at an empty bank account. You can choose to feel confident while facing a challenge. You can choose to feel loved while sitting alone. Practice emotional recalibration throughout your day. Set random alarms that remind you to check in. What frequency am I broadcasting right now? If it's fear, doubt, or frustration, consciously shift to gratitude, excitement, or peaceful confidence. Don't wait for your circumstances to give you permission to feel good. Feel good first, and watch your circumstances reorganize around that frequency. Stage 4. Identity revolution. Becoming your future self. This is the game changer that separates successful quantum shifters from people who just think about changing. You must stop acting like the person you used to be and start embodying the person you're becoming, even before you have any external proof that the shift is working. Identity isn't something you discover, it's something you decide and then reinforce through consistent action. The wealthy version of you handles money differently today, not after they become wealthy. The confident version of you speaks up in meetings now, not after they build confidence. The healthy version of you makes different food choices immediately, not after they lose weight. Ask yourself constantly, how would the version of me who already has what I want think about this situation? How would they respond to this challenge? What decision would they make right now? Then act from that identity, even if it feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar. Every time you choose the response of your future self over the reaction of your past self, you're literally rewiring your identity at the neural level. Stage 5. Sustained focus. Mastering the quantum Zeno effect. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called the quantum Zeno effect. If you observe something frequently enough, you can lock it into place, preventing it from changing. This works both ways, and understanding it is crucial for successful reality shifting. If you constantly focus on what's wrong, what's missing, or what's not working, you're using the quantum Zeno effect against yourself. You're freezing your current unwanted reality in place through repetitive observation. But when you consistently focus on your desired outcome with emotional intensity and unwavering attention, you begin to collapse that possibility into form. The key is sustained focus, not scattered attention. This means disciplining your mind to return again and again to your vision, especially when circumstances seem to contradict it. It means protecting your attention from negative news, toxic conversations, and fear-based media that keeps you vibrating at lower frequencies. Create daily rituals that reinforce your new reality. Vision boards, affirmations, meditation, visualization, but not as one-time activities. Make them non-negotiable daily practices that consistently tune your consciousness to your desired frequency. Stage 6. Detached expectation. Trusting the quantum field. Here's the paradox that trips up most people. The more desperately you want something, the more you signal to the universe that you don't have it. Desperation, anxiety, and attachment actually repel what you're trying to attract because they broadcast the frequency of lack. True quantum shifting requires what I call detached expectation. You know your desired reality is inevitable, but you're not anxiously checking for it every 5 minutes. You've placed your order with the universe, and now you trust the delivery system. This doesn't mean you become passive or stop taking action. It means you take inspired action from a place of knowing rather than desperate action from a place of fear. You work on your goals because it feels good and aligned, not because you're afraid of what will happen if you don't. Think of it like ordering something online. Once you've placed the order and received confirmation, you don't obsessively track the package or worry that it might not arrive. You go about your day with the quiet confidence that it's on its way. Stage 7. Reinforcing new reality. Recognizing the shift. As your internal world shifts, your external reality begins to reorganize. But the changes often start subtly. You must train yourself to recognize and reinforce these early signs, because acknowledging them amplifies the shift. Watch for different responses from people. They might treat you with more respect, seem more interested in what you have to say, or offer opportunities they never offered before. Notice internal changes. You might feel calmer under pressure, more confident in social situations, or more optimistic about the future. Pay attention to synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. These are signs that you're successfully tuning into a new frequency and that the quantum field is responding to your shift. Keep a success journal where you record every sign of positive change, no matter how small. This trains your brain to notice evidence of your transformation rather than evidence of stagnation. What you focus on expands, so focus on the proof that your reality is shifting. Let me ground all of this in hard science for those who need logical validation. Dr. Bruce Lipton's groundbreaking research in epigenetics shows that your beliefs and thoughts literally rewrite your genetic expression. Your genes aren't your destiny. They're more like a piano, and your consciousness is the pianist, determining which keys get pressed. Lipton discovered that when you change your perception, you literally change the chemistry of your body. Cells respond to their environment, and your internal environment, your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, is just as influential as your external environment. The placebo effect, one of the most well-documented phenomena in medicine, demonstrates that belief alone can trigger healing responses as powerful as medication. People take sugar pills or receive fake surgeries and experience real measurable improvements in their health. Their belief literally changes their biology. But there's also the nocebo effect, when negative beliefs create negative physical outcomes. I know of cases where people were misdiagnosed with terminal illnesses, believed the diagnosis completely, and died on schedule, only for autopsies to reveal that they had minimal disease that shouldn't have been fatal. They died not from illness, but from belief. Princeton University's Peer Laboratory conducted rigorous studies over several decades, documenting how human intention and focused attention can actually influence random number generators, machines designed to produce completely random results. After millions of trials, they found statistically significant evidence that consciousness can affect physical systems. Dean Radin at the Institute of Noetic Sciences has replicated and expanded on this research, showing that people in deep meditative states can influence physical systems from a distance. The data keeps showing patterns that traditional materialist science cannot explain. Your thoughts aren't just mental noise, they're measurable energy that affects your biology, influences your behavior, and potentially impacts the world around you. When you understand this, quantum shifting stops being mystical and starts being practical. Modern neuroscience reveals that your brain is essentially a prediction machine. It doesn't wait for reality to happen and then respond. It predicts what's going to happen based on past experience and then creates that reality through selective attention and behavioral choices. Neuroplasticity research shows that your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you focus on and repeat. Every time you vividly imagine a future scenario, your brain fires the same neural networks as if that scenario were actually happening right now. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between a real experience, a vividly imagined experience, or a powerfully remembered experience. This is why visualization and mental rehearsal are so powerful. You're not just daydreaming, you're literally installing new neural pathways that will influence your future behavior and perception. When you consistently visualize yourself succeeding, your brain starts to expect success and naturally steers you toward choices and opportunities that align with that expectation. When you repeatedly imagine yourself as confident, your neural networks literally restructure to support confident behavior. The reticular activating system in your brain acts like a filter, determining what information gets through to your conscious awareness. It's constantly scanning your environment for information that matches your current beliefs, expectations, and focus. This is why when you're thinking about buying a particular car, you suddenly see that car everywhere. By consciously programming your ass through focused visualization, affirmations, and emotional alignment, you can literally change what your brain notices and responds to in your environment. Let me give you specific, practical techniques that go beyond basic visualization. The state akin to sleep method. Lie down comfortably and let your body relax completely. Visualize a short, simple scene that implies your wish is already fulfilled. If you want financial abundance, see yourself checking your bank balance and feeling calm satisfaction. If you want love, imagine someone special telling you how much they care about you. The key is to make the scene short, repeatable, and emotionally satisfying. Loop it in your mind while feeling the emotions of already having what you want. Do this until you drift off to sleep or feel the scene lock in with a sense of completion. The next one, called the 2-cup quantum jumping method. This technique uses physical ritual to reinforce internal shifts. Take 2 cups and label them with sticky notes. Cup A represents your current reality. Cup B represents your desired reality. Fill cup A with water while focusing on what you're ready to release. Then pour the water from cup A into cup B, while visualizing yourself stepping into your new reality. Drink the water from cup B slowly and mindfully, feeling yourself embodying your future self. This isn't about the water having magical properties. It's about using physical action to reinforce mental shifts and signal to your subconscious that a transformation has occurred. Next method, emotional blueprinting with past peak experiences. Your emotional state is the key to successful quantum shifting, and the most powerful way to generate elevated emotions is to relive your past peak experiences while visualizing your future desires. Think of a moment when you felt absolutely incredible, holding your child for the first time, achieving a major goal, falling in love, experiencing natural beauty that took your breath away. Relive that memory with full sensory detail until you can feel those same elevated emotions in your body. While you're in that peak emotional state, visualize your desired future as if it's happening right now. This technique creates what neuroscientists call future memories. Your brain literally starts to remember experiences that haven't happened yet in physical reality. Next method, the quantum field meditation. This advanced meditation technique helps you connect directly with the field of infinite possibilities. Sit comfortably and begin by focusing on your breath until you feel centered and present. Imagine yourself as pure consciousness, temporarily disconnected from your physical body and all its limitations. Feel yourself expanding beyond the boundaries of your skin, becoming one with the space around you. From this expanded state, set a clear intention for what you want to experience. Don't ask or beg. Simply declare your reality with the authority of someone who already has complete access to all possibilities. Spend time in this space of pure potential, feeling yourself as the conscious creator of your experience. When you return to normal awareness, carry that sense of creative power with you into your daily life. Now let's take a look at common traps in quantum shifting and how to avoid them. Understanding what can go wrong will help you do it right. Trap 1. Spiritual bypassing. Some people use quantum shifting as a way to avoid dealing with real psychological issues or practical responsibilities. They think if they just visualize enough, they won't have to do the inner work of healing trauma, developing skills, or taking concrete action. Quantum shifting isn't about escaping reality. It's about engaging with reality from a more empowered state. You still need to process emotions, heal wounds, develop competencies, and take consistent action. The difference is that you're doing all of this from the identity of your future self, rather than your wounded past self. Trap 2. Attachment to specific outcomes. When you become obsessed with exactly how and when your desires will manifest, you create resistance that actually blocks the very thing you want. The universe often has better ideas than your limited perspective can imagine. Hold your vision clearly, but remain open to how it unfolds. Sometimes what you think you want isn't what you actually need for your highest good. Trust that if you're aligned with your authentic desires, reality will deliver something even better than what you originally imagined. Trap 3. Impatience and instant gratification. We live in a culture that expects immediate results, but deep transformation takes time. Even in quantum systems, coherence builds gradually. Even in neuroplasticity, new patterns require repetition to become stable. Don't dig up the seeds by constantly checking for progress. Plant them with your visualization and emotional alignment, water them with consistent practice, and trust the natural timing of manifestation. Trap 4. Trying to control others. Some people misuse these techniques to try to manipulate or control other people's behavior. This always backfires because it violates the free will of others and comes from a place of ego rather than authentic alignment. Focus exclusively on your own frequency, your own identity, your own choices. When you genuinely shift into your highest self, people will naturally respond differently to you, but this happens as a byproduct of your transformation, not as a manipulation tactic. When you begin to quantum shift, something beautiful and profound happens that extends far beyond your personal transformation. Your shift creates permission for others to shift. It sends ripples through the collective consciousness that make change easier for everyone. Just like Roger Bannister's 4-minute mile opened the floodgates for other runners, your transformation becomes living proof that change is possible. Your joy becomes contagious. Your confidence gives others permission to believe in themselves. Your success expands the field of possibility for everyone who witnesses it. Every time you choose love over fear, abundance over scarcity, empowerment over victimhood, you're not just changing your own reality, you're contributing to the evolution of human consciousness itself. This is perhaps the most profound aspect of quantum shifting. You're not just improving your life, you're participating in the elevation of our entire species. You're becoming a walking example of what's possible when a human being remembers their true creative power. I'm going to leave you with a challenge that's really an invitation to step into your full power. For the next 30 days, I want you to live as if the version of yourself you most want to become is already real. Not fake it till you make it, but genuinely embody that frequency with every fiber of your being. Wake up as them, make decisions as them, speak as them, feel as them. When old patterns try to resurface, and they will, don't fight them or judge yourself. Simply return to the frequency of your future self, like tuning back to your favorite radio station. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about choosing your new identity more often than you choose your old one. It's about becoming so familiar with your elevated state that it becomes more natural than your previous limitations. Keep a daily journal of your experiences. Notice how people respond to you differently. Pay attention to opportunities that show up. Observe the synchronicities and signs that indicate you're successfully shifting frequencies. But most importantly, notice how you feel about yourself. Notice the increasing sense of personal power, the growing confidence in your ability to create your reality, the deepening trust in your connection to infinite possibility. Your quantum moment is now. The universe isn't withholding your dreams from you. Your dreams are withholding themselves from the version of you that doesn't believe they're possible. But the moment you align with the frequency of your desired reality, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and through consistent action, that reality has no choice but to materialize. Your future self is calling you forward right now. They're living the life you want, feeling the freedom you crave, expressing the gifts you were born to share, contributing to the world in ways that light up your soul. The gap between you and them isn't a chasm to cross, it's a frequency to match. The quantum field is waiting for your decision. It's loaded with infinite possibilities, all equally available, all equally real. Your reality is waiting for your alignment. Your life is waiting for you to remember who you really are and what you're truly capable of creating. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of random events. You are not limited by your past or defined by your current conditions. You are a conscious creator, a quantum being having a human experience with access to unlimited possibilities. The shift starts now. The choice is yours. Your quantum reality is waiting. What will you choose to observe into existence today? What frequency will you broadcast into the field? What version of yourself will you embody as you step into this new moment of infinite potential? Your transformation begins now. Your quantum shift is happening. Your new reality is already on its way. The universe is listening. What signal will you send?
Today, I want you to breathe and remember something profound. What you desire is already complete, not being prepared, not slowly forming, but finished, fully formed, in the unseen, waiting for you to meet it. Every desire that rises within you is not a request, it is a revelation. It reveals what already exists for you in a higher dimension. You are not trying to create anything. You are only awakening to what has already been created for you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the version of you who already has what you want. The relationship, the abundance, the health, the success, the peace. See that version. Feel that version. Become that version in consciousness. Because the moment you do, your world must obey. Your imagination is not a fantasy. It is the spiritual workshop where all things take shape. What you assume as true with feeling becomes the law of your life. The outer world has no choice but to reflect your inner conviction. So if you've been waiting, worrying, doubting, or wondering when will it happen, stop. The question is not when. The question is who. Who are you being right now? Are you the version of yourself who hopes, or the version who knows? Because the one who knows receives. There is a point in your journey where you stop praying from lack and start declaring from fulfillment, where you stop asking and start accepting, where you stop begging and begin embodying. That is when everything shifts. That is when the bridge of events begins to unfold. And hear me clearly, your manifestation has already entered your reality. The moment you assumed it in consciousness, the moment you claimed it as done, the moment you felt it real, the entire universe began rearranging itself to deliver that reflection into your physical world. You may not see it yet, you may not feel the full weight of it, but the roots have already broken through the soil of the unseen. The evidence is moving toward you. The people, the opportunities, the alignments, the timing, it's all being orchestrated with precision. Your only job now is to assume the state of the one who already has it. Walk like it's done. Think like it's done. Feel like it's done. Give thanks like it's done. And watch how quickly your reality bends to match your inner knowing. Do not chase, do not force, do not doubt. You do not manifest by effort, you manifest by identity. When you become the version of you who has the thing has no choice but to appear. So today, let this truth settle deep within you. It is done. Already done. Completed. Finished. All you are doing now is aligning, receiving, and stepping into the version of reality that has been waiting for you all along. Your manifestation is not coming, it's arriving. It's unfolding. It's entering your world right now. Live from the end, and the end will show up. Because in the realm of consciousness, you already have it. Creation begins in imagination, because your inner world is the true birthplace of every experience you will ever live. Long before something becomes visible, long before it enters the physical dimension, it first exists as an idea, a picture, a feeling, an inner assumption. Your imagination is not a passive daydreaming tool. It is the most powerful creative force you possess. It is the workshop where the unseen becomes inevitable. When you imagine something with conviction, you are not hoping for it, you are forming it. You are shaping the structure of your reality on an invisible level. Everything you have ever experienced began as an image within someone's mind. Every home, every invention, every relationship, every achievement, every breakthrough. All of it existed in imagination before it existed in matter. What makes imagination so powerful is that it bypasses limitations. It doesn't ask, how will this happen? It doesn't require physical proof. It doesn't need permission, resources, or validation. Imagination simply creates, it generates the end result instantly, with no resistance, no delay, no obstacles. And the moment you hold that inner picture with feeling, you give it life. You breathe energy into it. You begin a chain reaction that the physical world must eventually follow. Your outer world is not independent of you. It is a mirror. It reflects the assumptions you persistently hold within. When you imagine with conviction, you are not merely fantasizing, you are instructing the universe. You are sending out a blueprint of the reality you expect to experience. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to your inner certainty. It never mirrors what you want, it mirrors what you know to be true in imagination. When the inner world becomes more real to you than the outer world, the outer must change. It has no choice, because it is the effect, not the cause. This is why imagination must be felt. A picture without emotion is just a thought. But a picture infused with belief, gratitude, and felt completion becomes a creative command. Feeling is the magnet. Feeling is the energy that turns an inner image into a physical manifestation. When you imagine the end result and feel the satisfaction of having it now, you step into the identity of the one who already possesses it. Once your identity shifts, your reality must shift to match it. The beautiful truth is that imagination frees you from the constraints of time. In imagination, everything is now. There is no waiting, no distance, no separation between you and your desire. You can experience the end in perfect detail, the sounds, the emotions, the surroundings, the reactions. And the moment you do, you claim it as yours. Your mind doesn't distinguish between what is physically seen and what is vividly imagined. It accepts both as reality. And once your mind accepts the imagined end as true, life begins to orchestrate the path, the people, the circumstances, the timing that bring it into physical expression. So when you imagine with conviction, you are not pretending, you are creating. You are stepping into the role of the architect of your own life, shaping the unseen foundation upon which your future will be built. Imagination is not the beginning of creation, it is the creation. The physical world is only the final confirmation of what you have already made real within. Desire is not a sign of lack, it is evidence of completion. The moment a desire rises within you, it is not something you must chase, earn, or struggle to create. It is a signal from the deeper part of your being that what you want is already formed in the unseen. Desire is the bridge between what already exists in a higher dimension and your awareness of it in this one. You do not desire what is impossible for you. You do not desire what is absent. You only desire what is already yours in another state of consciousness. Think of desire as a spiritual announcement. When you feel the pull towards something, a vision, a dream, a relationship, a lifestyle, a level of abundance, that pull is not random. It is the echo of fulfillment calling you toward itself. The desire appears only because the completion has already been established on an inner plane. It is your soul saying, "This is the next version of you. Step into it." You are not trying to create the manifestation. You are aligning with the version of yourself who is already living it. Nothing within you longs for something that doesn't belong to you. The universe is not cruel. It does not show you the possibility without simultaneously preparing the path. If a desire sparks within, it means the way has already been made. The outcome is already secure. Your desire is the signpost pointing to what is done. What you call a dream is actually memory. Memory from the unseen realm where the fulfillment already exists in completion. This is why desire feels magnetic. It pulls you. It won't let you rest. It keeps revealing itself because it already belongs to you. The desire persists not to torment you, but to keep you aligned with the higher version of your own being. It's not asking you to figure out the how. It's only asking you to accept the truth that if you desire it, you are meant for it. The how will unfold once you accept the inner completion. Most people misunderstand desire. They think desire means something is missing, something they don't have. But the deeper truth is the opposite. Desire means it is already done. You feel desire because your inner reality and your outer reality are no longer in harmony. The inner you knows something the outer you has not yet seen. That tension creates desire, the longing to bridge the gap between your current identity and your fulfilled identity. When you understand this, desire becomes sacred instead of stressful. You stop chasing and start receiving. You stop begging and start allowing. You stop looking outside and start listening within. The moment you honor a desire as proof of fulfillment, you shift into the state of expectancy. and expectancy is the doorway through which manifestations enter the physical world. So let your desires reassure you. Let them remind you that life has already agreed with what you want. You are being guided toward what is yours. The desire is the evidence. The completion is already waiting. All you must do is align with it, accept it, and allow the outer world to reveal what has already been declared true within. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to step into the reality of your desire before it appears physically. It means choosing to feel now what you would naturally feel if your desire were already accomplished. This is not pretending, and it is not self-delusion. It is the most powerful creative act you can perform. Feeling is the bridge because emotion is the language of the subconscious mind, and the subconscious is the birthplace of all manifestation. When you embody the emotional state of the fulfilled wish, you are instructing your inner world to create conditions that match that feeling. Most people wait for physical evidence before they allow themselves to feel satisfied, grateful, secure, or joyful. But manifestation works in the opposite direction. The outer world does not create your inner feelings. Your inner feelings create the outer world. When you feel the end result as real, your subconscious accepts that feeling as truth. Once accepted, it begins to reorganize your beliefs, your self-concept, your behaviors, and even your external circumstances to match that inner assumption. It draws people, opportunities, timing, and events into alignment with the state you have already claimed internally. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled requires imagination and faith, but not effort. You do not need to strain or force the feeling. Instead, you gently sink into the emotional atmosphere of already having what you want. If your desire is wealth, you feel the ease and security of abundance. If your desire is love, you feel cherished and connected. If your desire is healing, you feel wholeness and vitality. The key is not to visualize perfectly or repeat affirmations endlessly. The key is to feel the reality of the fulfilled desire in your body, even if only for a few moments at a time. This feeling becomes the seed of your manifestation. Every time you return to it, you water that seed. You reinforce the inner state that must eventually be reflected outward. The feeling is the cause, the physical manifestation is the effect. In truth, you are not waiting for the desire. The desire is waiting for you to feel it real. Once you shift your inner emotional state, you step into the identity of the person who already has the manifestation. An identity is destiny. You experience in life not what you want, but who you are being. The beauty of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is that it frees you from the need to control the how or when. You no longer search for signs because the feeling itself becomes the sign. You no longer worry about timing because you already feel the completion. You are not hoping, wishing, or wanting. You are knowing. And this inner knowing begins to shape your world quietly, subtly, inevitably. When you live from the feeling of the fulfilled desire, you are no longer aligned with lack. You are aligned with completion. You stop reacting to the world and start creating from within. And the moment your inner world stabilizes in that state, the physical world must catch up. The bridge between the invisible and the visible is built by emotion, the emotion of already having what you desire. This is the secret. This is the power. This is the path by which the unseen becomes seen. The unseen is more real than the seen. because everything in your physical world is a delayed reflection of what has already taken place within you. Your inner world, your thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, emotions, and imaginal acts, is the true source of every experience you encounter. The physical world is not the cause, it is the effect. It is a mirror that can only reflect what you persistently accept as true inside yourself. Most people misunderstand this and try to change the mirror instead of changing the face that stands before it. They fight circumstances, resist conditions, and struggle with outer situations, forgetting that all of these are shadows cast by the inner state they continue to occupy. Your imagination, your conviction, and your inner dialogue create the structure of your life long before you see the results. You are constantly generating unseen causes in the quiet of your mind, the things you repeat to yourself, the identity you accept, the fears you dwell on, the desires you nurture, the emotional atmosphere you carry. All of this creates the blueprint that your outer world must follow. Nothing happens externally that wasn't first formed internally. Every breakthrough, every challenge, every victory, every setback, it all originates in consciousness. Because if it happens, it's what the unseen is more real because it is the original. The seen is simply the copy. Your inner assumptions are the laws that govern your reality. If you assume that life works out for you, it will. If you assume that you are loved, opportunities appear that reflect that assumption. If you assume that abundance is natural for you, your world rearranges to confirm your expectation. Conversely, if you assume struggle, rejection, or limitation, the outer world will faithfully mirror that too. The mirror does not argue, it does not judge, it does not choose, it simply reflects. When you understand that the unseen is the true cause, you stop being intimidated by appearances. You stop reacting to circumstances as if they have final authority over your life. You understand that what you see now is merely the physical residue of previous thoughts and assumptions, echoes of states you have already moved through. This gives you incredible power because it means that no matter what the outer world shows you, you can always create a different inner state, and the outer world must eventually catch up. The moment you shift your inner world, the outer begins to rearrange. People act differently, opportunities emerge, obstacles dissolve, timelines shift, synchronicities appear. It may seem sudden or miraculous, but all of it stems from the unseen change you made within yourself. Reality bends to your inner state, not the other way around. This is why the most important work you will ever do is internal. The world outside of you is only ever responding to the world inside of you. When you master your inner assumptions, you master your life. When you honor the unseen as the real power, you stop chasing results and start cultivating states of being. Everything you desire already exists in potential form within the unseen. Your job is to align with it internally until the outer world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Persistence is the force that shapes reality, because it is through sustained inner conviction that the outer world is compelled to reorganize itself. When you persist in the assumption of your desired outcome, even when physical evidence contradicts it, you are demonstrating mastery over appearances. You are affirming that your inner world has greater authority than anything your senses currently perceive. Persistence is not about effort, struggle, or forcing something to happen. It is about refusing to abandon the state of the wish fulfilled. It is the quiet, unwavering decision to remain loyal to the inner truth you have accepted, no matter what the outer world shows you. Meanwhile, the greatest sages are not those who forget. The greatest teachers are not those. Most people allow their environment to dictate their beliefs. They look at what is happening around them and shape their inner assumptions based on those circumstances. But true creators reverse this process. Instead of letting reality influence their inner state, they allow their inner state to influence reality. Persistence is the bridge between the unseen assumption and the seen manifestation. It keeps you aligned with the end result until the world mirrors your conviction. When you persist, you are not trying to overpower the world. You are simply refusing to be moved by temporary appearances. You understand that the physical world is slow-moving and delayed, reacting only after your inner world has stabilized. So, even when circumstances seem unchanged or even get worse, persistence means you do not shift your assumption. You continue to believe, imagine, and feel the fulfillment of your desire because you know that your assumption is the real cause. And the seen world is just the echo. There is extraordinary power in this. Your persistence tells the subconscious mind that your desire is non-negotiable. And once the subconscious accepts something as true, it sets in motion every necessary event, encounter, and circumstance to bring it into your physical experience. People may call it luck, coincidence, or divine timing, but the truth is much simpler. It was your persistence that summoned the manifestation. Persistence also transforms you internally. As you hold the assumption of the fulfilled wish, you gradually become the version of yourself who has the desire. Your thoughts shift, your emotions shift, your habits shift, your self-concept evolves. When you embody this new identity consistently, the external world has no choice but to align with it. Reality bends to your internal transformation. The greatest challenge is ignoring appearances that contradict your desire. But those appearances are not final. They are simply remnants of old assumptions. They fade as soon as you refuse to give them power. When you persist, you withdraw your attention from the old reality and feed the new one with your focus and feeling. What you feed grows. Persistence is not a battle, it is devotion. It is choosing your inner truth over outer illusions. It is choosing the end result over temporary setbacks. It is choosing the unseen completion over the seen delay. And when you persist long enough for your inner state to become natural, the manifestation appears effortlessly, inevitably, in perfect timing. Your manifestation is not something that needs to be built, achieved, or attracted. It is already done. The moment the desire arose within you, its completion was established in the unseen. You are not waiting for the universe to create it. The universe is waiting for you to align with it. Manifestation is not a process of bringing something from nothing. It is a process of stepping into the version of yourself that is already living the reality you want. Everything you seek already exists in consciousness, fully formed, complete, and ready for you to embody. When you understand that your manifestation is finished, your entire approach to life changes. You stop chasing results. You stop begging for signs. You stop wondering when it will come. Instead, you begin to realize that you are moving toward an already completed outcome, not trying to force one into existence. Every thought, every decision, every emotional shift is guiding you closer to the version of yourself who has already received what you desire. This version of you is not theoretical. It exists in the quantum field of infinite possibilities, and your state of being determines which version you merge with. You do not manifest through effort, you manifest through identity. If you continue to see yourself as the one who wants, waits, or hopes, you remain in the state of lack. But the moment you shift into the identity of the one who has, everything accelerates. Your thoughts change naturally. Your behaviors align effortlessly. Opportunities that match your fulfilled state begin to appear without struggle. The world reflects your inner conclusion. This is why feeling is so important. When you feel the desire fulfilled, you are not imagining something that might happen. You are tuning into what is already done. Think of it like tuning a radio. The station you want is already broadcasting. You simply adjust your frequency until you receive its signal. Your manifestation is broadcasting. Your job is to tune yourself to the reality where it already exists. You do this by assuming the end, feeling the completion, and moving as though it is true now. This alignment creates a shift that the outer world cannot ignore. People begin to respond to you differently. Circumstances start to rearrange. Invitations, ideas, and sudden changes begin to appear. These are not random. They are the natural consequences of entering the state where your desire is already a fact. You are meeting what you have already created, step by step, moment by moment. The more you embody the version of yourself who already has the manifestation, the faster the physical world adjusts. It may feel magical, but it is simply the law. The outer must conform to the inner. When you finally release the idea of waiting and embrace the truth of completion, you dissolve resistance. You stop blocking the flow. You let the manifestation enter your world in the smoothest, most natural way. To remind yourself, you are not trying to make something happen. You are moving into alignment with what is already yours. You are walking toward the version of yourself that has been calling you. Your manifestation is not on the way. You are on the way to it. It is finished. It is done. And you are simply stepping into the reality that has been prepared for you all along. As we bring this message to a close, remember this truth. Everything you desire is not somewhere in the distant future. It is already done. Every vision, every dream, every wish you hold in your heart exists right now in the unseen. Your role is not to chase it, struggle for it, or demand it from the outside world. Your role is to assume it, feel it, and align with the version of yourself who already possesses it. The outer world will follow the inner reality you steadfastly maintain. Persistence, imagination, and feeling the end result are your keys to unlocking this truth. Step confidently into the reality that awaits you, knowing that what you have imagined and felt as true will manifest. Thank you for listening, for opening your mind, and for taking the first step toward living from the end. Your manifestation is ready, your reality is shifting, and your fulfilled life is waiting for you.
Have you ever looked around at your life and felt like something was missing? Like no matter how hard you try, you're stuck in the same place? If so, you're not alone. Let me share something with you. Something that changed the entire course of my life. And maybe, just maybe, it might change yours too. You see, for a long time, I thought the problem was out there. If I could just find the right job, the right partner, the right amount of money, things would finally fall into place. But no matter how hard I tried, how many times I started over, I always ended up in the same emotional space, restless, stuck, wondering, what am I doing wrong? Then I learned something that hit me like a lightning bolt. Reality is a mirror. What's happening around you is reflecting what's happening within you. And that realization changed everything. The truth is, your life doesn't change when you hustle harder. Your life changes when you do. If you want to create a different reality, you have to become the version of you that lives in that reality. That means letting go of the old stories, like I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. Nothing works out for me. Because whether you realize it or not, the world around you is constantly responding to those beliefs. It doesn't matter how badly you want something. If deep down you don't believe you're worthy of it, reality won't argue with you. It will just show you more reasons to keep believing what you already believe. That's the mirror principle, and it's not magic, it's the law of life. So here's the first key. Your outer world reflects your inner world. If you see yourself as broken, life will give you more situations to reinforce that. If you see yourself as powerful, valuable, and loved, the world starts rearranging itself to match that frequency. And here's the part most people miss. You don't have to earn a better life. You have to align with it. You start by asking, who do I need to become? Not someday, but today, right now. And yes, it takes courage, because this path forces you to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. The doubts, the wounds, the voice that whispers, you're not enough. But let me tell you something from the heart. You don't need to fight that voice. You just need to stop believing it. That voice is not the truth. It's just a habit. And like any habit, it can be replaced. Change takes time, but it's coming. Here's where people give up. They shift their mindset, they start doing the work, and nothing changes right away. And they think, I knew it. This stuff doesn't work. But what they don't realize is this. Reality is like a mirror with a delay. In your mind, change is instant, but in the physical world, there's a lag. Reality has inertia. It takes time to catch up to your new vibration. So the work is to hold the image, hold the belief, hold the energy of the life you're creating, even when it hasn't arrived yet, especially when it hasn't arrived yet. Because if you can stay faithful to your new identity long enough, eventually the mirror reflects it. Reality reflects the focus of your thoughts, not just your emotions. It doesn't matter if you feel happy or sad in a given moment. What matters is what you keep focusing on. If you're constantly thinking, I hate my job, I hate my body, I hate how I feel, life isn't hearing the hate. It's picking up on the object of your attention. So what does it do? It sends more of it, not because it's cruel, but because it's faithful. The mirror will always show you what you believe matters. That's why shifting from lack to gratitude, even in small ways, is so powerful. When you start saying, I love my persistence, I'm grateful for the progress I'm making, I'm proud of how far I've come, the mirror shifts, slowly, quietly, but undeniably. You must reverse the cycle. Here's what most people do. They wake up, look at their life, and react. They see their bills, their weight, their relationship, and they say, this is who I am. That's living in reaction. That's letting the mirror define you. But here's what creators do, and what you can start doing today. Turn away from the current reflection. Stop letting the past define the future, and say, this is who I choose to be. Hold that image again and again until the mirror catches up. This takes practice. It takes presence. It takes patience, but it works. And you're stronger than your doubts. I want you to hear me right now. You are not stuck. You are not broken. And your past has nothing to do with what you're capable of creating next. I know it's tempting to look at your life and say, this is just the way things are. But what if you said, instead, this is just the echo of who I used to be, and today I choose something different? What if you woke up tomorrow and decided to become the version of you that already has what you want? What would they believe? How would they move? What would they stop tolerating? Because the moment you decide to become, life decides to reflect. This isn't theory. It's not wishful thinking. I've lived it. I've watched others live it. And I'm here to tell you, your future self is already waiting for you to catch up. You don't need to chase success. You just need to embody it. You don't need to beg for love. You need to realize you are love. You don't need to fix the mirror. You need to become the person worth reflecting. And you already are. You just forgot for a moment. So if this message stirred something in you, trust it. Run with it. Start today, because your mirror is waiting, and it's more powerful than you've ever imagined. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this space with me. If this message resonated with you, even just a little, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment, share your reflections, or just say hello. And if you think someone else in your life needs to hear this too, please pass it along. Remember, you're not alone on this path. We're all just learning how to become more of who we already are. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, and never stop creating the life you know you're meant to live.
My friend, listen closely. For this very moment is holy. Right now, as you sit and breathe, something unseen is working on your behalf. Though your senses may whisper of delay, though appearances may tell you nothing is happening, a greater order is at work. God is moving everything in your favor. There is no chaos in the divine. Every seeming obstacle, every closed door, every disappointment was not rejection. It was redirection. The path was being rearranged so that the fullness of your promise could meet you in divine timing. You see, miracles do not begin in the world around you. They begin in the world within you. The instant you believe that it is already done, heaven responds. The universe begins to conspire with your conviction. Invisible forces start shifting. People, opportunities, and timing begin to align with what your inner faith has declared. So do not say, one day my miracle will come. Say, now. For the moment you awaken to the reality that God moves now, you release the power that changes everything. Right now, your life is being rearranged to bless you. Right now, unseen hands are setting the stage for your answered prayer. Right now, the Spirit is whispering to your circumstances, commanding them to yield to favor. Your only task is to believe, not a desperate belief that strives or pleads, but a serene knowing, the calm assurance that what you have imagined with faith already exists. You do not beg for what is already yours. You receive it by entering into the feeling of fulfillment. Close your eyes and see yourself in possession of the miracle. Feel the gratitude that flows when your desire has already come to pass. Let your inner world become so real that the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. And then, that instant, the outer world becomes your share. That is how you receive the miracle, not by reaching, but by resting in divine certainty. For faith is not waiting for something to happen. Faith is knowing that it has already happened in the unseen. So walk today with quiet confidence. Let no appearance trouble you. For the unseen hand of God is moving through every detail of your story, aligning every thread and weaving together a masterpiece called favor. And when the miracle unfolds, as it surely will, you will look back and say, it was happening all along. Even in silence, God was moving everything in my favor. Right now, my friend, it is done. Receive it, walk in it, live as though the promise is fulfilled, because it is. Even when life appears silent, still, or motionless, there is a profound and invisible movement taking place beneath the surface of your reality. What you call nothing happening is often the most sacred moment of divine orchestration. The unseen intelligence that governs the stars, that guides the seasons, that breathes life into all creation, is the same intelligence quietly rearranging the details of your life. It works in silence, without announcement and without spectacle, yet it is never inactive. There are times when you may look at your life and feel that progress has stopped, that prayers have gone unanswered, or that destiny has somehow paused. But in truth, these are the very moments when God's movement is most active. The divine does not always move with noise and visibility. Just as the roots of a tree grow deep in the darkness of the soil before a single leaf appears above the ground, your life too is being prepared in hidden realms. The silence is not stagnation, it is strategy. The delay is not denial, it is divine design. Every circumstance you face, every encounter, every closed door or unexpected detour is being used to set the stage for the fulfillment of your purpose. You may not see how it fits, but there is an order, an invisible pattern that only reveals itself when the time is right. The universe, under divine direction, moves like a grand symphony. Each note, though it may sound isolated in the moment, finds perfect harmony in the larger composition of your life. When you trust that unseen movement, you begin to rest. You no longer force outcomes or chase what is already ordained to be yours. You learn to stand still, knowing that the power that created you is not idle. God's hand moves through time and space, aligning opportunities, shifting people, and opening paths you could not see with natural eyes. You may think you've been forgotten, but heaven has not been silent. It has been working. Faith is the art of perceiving that invisible movement. It is the quiet confidence that beneath every delay, something greater is forming. When your heart aligns with that understanding, fear loses its voice. You stop reacting to appearances and start responding to truth. And the truth is this: even in what seems like stillness, divine intelligence is in motion, guiding all things toward your highest good. So do not measure progress by what you see. Do not define movement by visible signs. The invisible movement of God is constant, precise, and powerful. One day, when the time is full, what was hidden will emerge, and you will realize that nothing was ever still. Everything was being rearranged for your good. The same silence that once felt empty will be recognized as sacred preparation. Trust that right now, in unseen realms, God is moving, and He is moving everything in your favor. There is a divine law that governs all creation. The outer world is but a reflection of the inner world. The moment your inner state aligns with faith, the world around you begins to rearrange itself to mirror that vibration. Nothing in your external life changes permanently until something within you does. You may try to alter your environment, relationships, or circumstances, but true transformation begins the instant your consciousness moves into harmony with what you believe is possible. Faith is not mere hope or wishful thinking. Faith is the deep, unwavering knowing that what you have desired already exists in the unseen. When your heart and mind agree with that truth, you release a spiritual current that touches everything connected to you. Events, people, and opportunities start to align, not through force, but through divine synchronization. What was once delayed begins to accelerate. What seemed impossible begins to open, and what appeared lost finds its way back to you. But this alignment cannot happen while your inner world is filled with contradiction. You cannot hold faith in one moment and fear in the next and expect your reality to remain stable. The outer world is a faithful servant. It echoes the dominant vibration of your inner state. When your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, frustration, or lack, life mirrors those thoughts. Yet when you cultivate peace, gratitude, and certainty, everything begins to move toward harmony. Inner alignment is the place where thought, emotion, and belief move in one direction. It is when your heart no longer argues with your mind and your imagination no longer opposes your faith. You no longer question whether you deserve the miracle. You simply know that it is already yours. This inner conviction produces a magnetic energy that attracts every resource necessary for fulfillment. Without struggle, without resistance, your world begins to yield to the consciousness you have chosen to embody. Think of it as tuning a frequency. A radio must be aligned to the correct station before the signal becomes clear. The message was always there, but until alignment happened, there was only static. In the same way, divine favor, abundance, and healing have always been present, but until your inner frequency matches their vibration, they cannot be fully received. The universe does not respond to words. It responds to the feeling behind them, the state of being that declares it is done. When you enter that state of faith, everything changes. The world that once resisted you begins to assist you. Delays dissolve. The right people appear. The timing becomes perfect. You stop striving and start flowing, for you are now moving in rhythm with divine intelligence. So look within before you try to change what is outside. Align your thoughts with peace, your emotions with gratitude, and your belief with certainty. For when the inner world stands firm in faith, the outer world has no choice but to shift in your favor. The miracle you seek is not waiting somewhere in the future. It is already present, hidden within this very moment. The human mind is often trapped between memories of the past and dreams of the future, yet both are illusions when compared to the living power of now. The present moment is not just a point in time. It is the doorway through which divine creation flows. When you awaken fully to it, you discover that all you have ever desired already exists here, in the eternal now. Most people postpone their blessings because they expect the miracle to arrive someday. They say, when things get better, I'll be happy. When I receive it, I'll believe. But such thinking places fulfillment in the distance, always beyond reach. The truth is that God's power operates only in the present. The Spirit does not act in the memory of yesterday or the dream of tomorrow. It acts in the living awareness of this moment. Present is sacred because it is where your consciousness meets divine intelligence. The moment you stop racing toward the future and begin to rest in awareness, you open the channel through which miracles manifest. You stop waiting and start receiving. You no longer chase outcomes, you become the vessel through which the outcome expresses itself. In that stillness, in that quiet knowing, the unseen begins to take visible form. Every miracle you've ever heard of was born in the now. Healing, revelation, restoration, all occur when someone becomes fully conscious of the divine presence that exists in this very breath. The moment you stop saying it will happen and begin to feel that it is happening now, something shifts within you, your vibration rises, your perception clears. You begin to sense that you are not separated from your miracle, you are standing in the midst of it. The future is only a projection of the now. Whatever quality of consciousness you nurture in this moment will shape what appears later. If you live with fear, your future mirrors fear. If you live with gratitude, your future multiplies abundance. This is why awakening to the present moment is the highest spiritual act. It is the place where faith becomes creation. To live in the now is not to ignore the future, but to realize that the seed of every future lies here, in this instant of awareness. When you breathe consciously, when you give thanks for what already is, when you recognize the divine presence within and around you, you unlock the flow of favor. So stop postponing your miracle. The answer is not coming, it is. The blessing is not on the way, it is already here, waiting for your awareness to meet it. The door has never been closed. You have only been standing outside of the moment. Step through it now. Embrace the stillness. Feel the divine energy moving in you, as you, through you. This is the power of now, the eternal moment where miracles are born. The eyes can deceive you, for they only report what already exists, not what is being created. The evidence of the senses is fleeting, constantly shifting like waves upon the sea. What you see around you today is nothing more than the residue of yesterday's beliefs. Every condition, every situation, every appearance in your life is a reflection of a former state of mind. That means the visible is always temporary, but the invisible, the realm of belief, is what shapes the permanent. To see beyond the evidence is to rise above appearances and behold reality from a higher vision. When you look only with physical eyes, you see limitation. But when you perceive with spiritual understanding, you see the unfolding of divine order. The world tells you to believe what you see, yet the truth is that you see what you believe. Faith reverses the order. It calls things that are not yet visible as though they already were. It refuses to bow before circumstances and instead declares, this is only the surface. Something greater is happening beneath it. The visible world may whisper of lack, but your belief in abundance rewrites that story. The evidence may point to failure, but your inner conviction can summon victory from the unseen. You may see closed doors, but faith perceives divine redirection. Every person who has ever lived a life of power learned to trust the invisible over the visible, to stand firm in belief when the senses screamed otherwise. Seeing beyond the evidence is not denial, it is discernment. You are not pretending that your challenges don't exist, you are simply refusing to give them the final word. You are acknowledging a higher reality, one that is forming even as the old dissolves. The moment you choose to believe beyond appearances, you begin to shift from reaction to creation. Instead of being a prisoner of circumstance, you become a co-creator with the divine. The greatest test of faith is often in the waiting, those times when everything around you seems contrary to what you believe. Yet that is the sacred moment when your spiritual sight is strengthened. You learn to hold the vision steady, to look not at what is, but at what shall be. You learn to walk by faith, not by sight. And as you persist in that inner certainty, the temporary dissolves and the permanent emerges. Every miracle begins this way, with someone daring to believe something higher than the evidence. To believe that light can emerge from darkness, that healing can spring forth from brokenness, that destiny can unfold even in delay. The outer world eventually bows to the inner conviction. So look again at your life, not with the eyes of fear, but with the eyes of faith. What you see today is passing, but what you hold in belief is eternal. The invisible reality you carry within will soon become the evidence everyone else can see. The divine flow of life was never meant to be forced. Miracles are not born from strain, effort, or anxious striving. They unfold naturally through surrender and awareness. Humanity has been conditioned to believe that blessings are earned through struggle, that favor must be fought for, and that only through relentless effort can one touch the divine. Yet the truth is far simpler and more profound. Miracles are received, not achieved. Miracles are received, not achieved. They do not come because you have done enough, but because you have finally allowed enough. Striving belongs to the realm of separation. the belief that you are distant from what you desire. It is the mind's attempt to reach God through effort, unaware that the divine presence has never left you. When you strive, you affirm that what you seek is outside of you. When you surrender, you realize it has been within you all along. Surrender is not weakness, it is spiritual intelligence. It is the moment when you stop wrestling with life and begin to flow with it. Awareness is the key that opens the door to this flow. When you become aware of your unity with the divine, you stop pleading and start receiving. You no longer chase after blessings as though they are far away. You recognize that all that is good, pure, and beautiful is already moving toward you because it is drawn to its reflection within you. Your awareness becomes the magnet of miracles. Receiving requires stillness, a quiet trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even if your senses cannot yet see it. When you rest in that inner knowing, the struggle dissolves. You stop trying to force outcomes and instead you create the inner space for grace to enter. Striving tightens, receiving opens, striving shouts, receiving listens, striving demands, receiving allows. The greatest miracles often come when the soul releases control. When you stop insisting that life must go your way and simply allow divine wisdom to move through you, life begins to respond with harmony. Things that once felt blocked begin to flow. Ideas arise effortlessly and solutions appear at the perfect time. It is not that God suddenly decides to act, it is that your surrender has removed the resistance that once kept divine action from expressing itself freely. To receive is to trust that you are already worthy. It is to understand that favor does not depend on your performance, but on your position. The inner posture of faith and openness. You do not have to beg for what is already yours in spirit. You simply become aware of it, align with it, and let it manifest in its own divine order. So release the struggle. Let go of the idea that you must fight your way into grace. The river of divine supply is always flowing. You need only stop thrashing and let it carry you. Rest, trust, and become aware, for miracles are not achieved through effort, but received through surrender and awakening. Life is, you let go of the idea that you must fight your way. To wait for a miracle is to live in separation from it. But to become the miracle is to live in unity with its essence until it appears. Every creation begins not in the world of action, but in the world of consciousness. You do not draw miracles to you by pleading or wishing. You manifest them by entering into the feeling of already having received them. The miracle is not something that happens to you, it is something that happens through you. When your inner state matches the reality you desire. Becoming one with the miracle means embodying its vibration before it takes visible form. If you desire healing, you begin to feel whole within. If you seek abundance, you cultivate gratitude and richness of spirit. If you long for love, you first awaken the presence of love in your own heart. Whatever you wish to see externally must first exist internally, for the outer world is but a mirror reflecting your inner consciousness. When your thoughts, emotions, and imagination are in harmony with the fulfillment of your desire, creation is inevitable. This inner embodiment is not pretending or daydreaming. It is spiritual creation in motion. You are impressing upon the divine substance of life the image of completion. The moment you become conscious of being the one who already possesses what you seek, the universe begins to align with that frequency. Circumstances, people, and timing rearrange themselves to reflect your new state of being. You no longer wonder when the miracle will come, because in awareness, you already possess it. Waiting often implies lack, a belief that something is missing, but becoming one with the miracle dissolves that illusion. You realize that nothing is missing, only unseen. Just as the seed already contains the entire tree within it, your consciousness already holds the fullness of your desired reality. You nurture it through faith, imagination, and gratitude until it unfolds naturally into form. To live in the consciousness of the miracle is to walk through life with quiet certainty. You speak differently, think differently, and act from a sense of completion rather than deficiency. You no longer pray from desperation, but from thanksgiving. You no longer ask if it will happen, but give thanks that it already has. In that vibration of assurance, the invisible becomes visible. This is the sacred secret of manifestation. You do not create by effort, but by identity. You become what you desire, and life mirrors that identity back to you. The world cannot resist the truth of a soul that knows it already is what it once sought to be. So stop waiting at the door of delay. Step into the consciousness of fulfillment now. Feel it, live it, breathe it, and let it shape your every thought. For when you become one with the miracle, reality itself must bow to your faith, and the unseen must appear before your eyes. And so, my friend, as we come to the close of this message, let your heart rest in this truth. Right now, God is moving everything in your favor. Even when life feels silent, He is working behind the scenes. When your inner state aligns with faith, your outer world begins to shift. When you awaken to the power of the present moment, you step through the doorway where miracles are born. When you look beyond appearances, you see that the invisible hand of God has never stopped guiding you. When you surrender the struggle and simply receive, grace flows effortlessly. And when you become one with the miracle, when you live, think, and feel as though it is already done, the universe must obey the consciousness you carry. This is not about waiting for divine favor. It is about realizing that you already live within it. The same power that created worlds is breathing through you now. Trust it. Rest in it. Walk as though the promise has already unfolded, because in the unseen, it has. Thank you for listening, and thank you for opening your heart to this message. May your awareness expand, your faith deepen, and your life overflow with undeniable evidence that God has indeed moved everything in your favor. The miracle is not coming, it is here. Receive it and be at peace.
My dear friends, time is not real, not in the way you think. And the longer you believe that you must wait, strive, and prove yourself worthy of your desires, the longer you remain enslaved to a timeline that was never yours. You see, if you've been trying to manifest something and it's taking too long, you're not doing it wrong, you're just still playing by time. And time is the most convincing lie in this entire illusion we call life. You never have to wait for your desire. Your only job is to collapse time and move into the version of you where it already exists. But here's the problem. You are still watching the clock, you are still tracking results, and every time you do that, you shift back into the state where your desire is missing. Today, that ends because I'm going to show you how to ignore everything and how to enter the state of your wish fulfilled so completely that time bends around your assumption. Your senses lie. They always show you a delayed version of your consciousness. What you see around you is old news. It's a shadow. It's the echo of a former state. To be conscious of being rich while poor is to be poor. Not because you're faking it,
but because you're feeding it. Time feels slow because you are oscillating between identities. You visit the end in your imagination, then you walk back into the hallway of doubt and call it reality. So stop asking, how long will it take? Start asking, how fully am I living in the end? Because time doesn't shift your reality, your identity does. But the real question is this: when everything in your 3D world screams, it's not here, how do you keep living like it already is? How do you hold the end so deeply that time folds into it? Let's break it down step by step. Step 1. Forget the calendar. This is where most people get stuck. They think it's going to take time. They say maybe in a few weeks or hopefully by next year. And the moment you do that, you've placed your desire outside of you. You've pushed it into the future. You've created distance. You've told your mind and your reality, this isn't mine yet, and what you separate from, you delay. Time is only real when you're disconnected from your power. Every state already exists. Not one day, not eventually. Right now. There is already a version of you who has what you want, fully, completely. You're not creating it from scratch, you're aligning with it. And alignment doesn't take time. It takes identity. That's why your imagination is not just daydreaming. It's the creative center of God in you. So when you assume something is real and you stay loyal to it, even when nothing outside supports it, you're not waiting for it to come. You're reorganizing the structure of reality around who you've decided to be. So stop tracking how long it's been. Stop saying it's been 2 months and nothing's changed. Time is not blocking you. Time is just showing you how fully or how loosely you've embodied the end. And here's the shift. Once you fully live in the end, you don't need time anymore. Time folds, time collapses, because it's not needed when you're already there. Step 2. Become the state, not the seeker. Most people are stuck trying to attract what they want. They visualize, affirm, journal, and wait for signs, all while secretly hoping the universe will give them permission to receive. They treat spiritual law like a vending machine. Insert desire, press the right buttons, and wait. But it's the opposite. You don't attract anything from the outside. You express everything from within. You don't get what you want. You become it. This is the difference between being a seeker and being a creator. And until you close that gap, nothing changes. Your world doesn't respond to your effort. It doesn't care how much you visualize, how many books you read, or how spiritual you sound. It only responds to one thing, your identity. So the real question isn't, what do I do? It's, who am I being? And this is where most people miss the mark. They treat the state of the wish fulfilled as a mood, something they visit during meditation or scripting, instead of the self they must inhabit. But the state isn't a daydream. It's not an emotional high. It's a complete and quiet shift in self-definition. The moment you truly become the version of you who already has it, you stop checking, waiting, asking. You stop trying to impress the mirror, and instead you own the reflection. And the external world by law must follow. Not because you forced it, not because you earned it, but because that's what consciousness does. Your reality is a mirror, and mirrors don't debate you. They don't delay out of spite. They simply reflect who you are, being right now. So if you're still waiting for confirmation, if you're still looking for signs, if you're still asking, is it working? You're not in the end. You're still in the identity of not having, and the mirror is just doing its job. This is not a punishment. It's not personal. It's structure. There's no negotiation in spiritual law. You're not trying to convince the universe to bless you. You're telling it who you are, moment by moment, and it reflects that identity without bias. So the question is, are you being the one who already has it, or the one still hoping for it? Because the seeker never finds. The one who is never needs to search. Stop being the seeker. Start being the version of you who no longer has anything to ask for, because it's already done, not in the future, but in your state. Step 3. Refuse to observe. Commit to embody. Your greatest enemy isn't the delay. It isn't the circumstance. It isn't even the problem you think you're facing. It's your own observation. Not what's happening, but your habit of checking if it's working. The constant need to look around and measure the progress. The voice that says, still no text, still no shift, still no sign. That's the voice that keeps the old reality alive, because every time you observe, you don't just look at the world, you reactivate the version of yourself who doesn't have it. And in doing so, you return to the very state you said you had left. This is what most people don't understand. The outer world is not here to confirm your desire. It's here to echo your state, and echoes come after the sound, not before. You think you're being realistic. You think you're just noticing what is. But what you're actually doing is worshipping the seen instead of trusting the unseen cause that's already set the change in motion. You must make your future dream a present fact by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Don't hope for it. Don't act like it. Assume it as already done, so deeply, so naturally, so finally, that your external world becomes irrelevant to your inner knowing. To collapse time, you have to stop watching for proof. You have to stop needing the 3D world to behave differently before you decide to remain in the end. You have to treat the 3D physical world like it's simply catching up. A lagging echo, not a leading voice. This is not pretending. This is not about acting as if in some surface level performance. This is embodiment. This is walking as the version of you who knows it's already done. Because they've already become the one who has it. Not because of evidence, but because of alignment. There is a difference between a wish and a state. A wish can fade. A state holds you if you let it. So the question isn't, how do I stay in the state? The question is, why do I keep stepping out? Is it because you're watching too closely, listening for signs, testing the mirror before you've changed the face? Stop testing the mirror. Change the face. Be loyal to the unseen even when the seen mocks you, even when nothing is moved, even when everything says it's not working. Because the moment you flinch, the moment you check, the moment you waver, you reinforce the old timeline. But if you stay, if you persist, if you commit to embodying the end without negotiating with the visible, then time collapses, structure obeys, and your world bends to match the identity you've chosen. Your job is not to observe. Your job is to embody, fully, repeatedly, without apology, without doubt, without interruption. The law will do the rest. Remember, time isn't the reason it hasn't shown up. Your state is, hold the end. Live from it. Let everything else catch up. If you enjoyed this video and have a deeper understanding now how to close the gap between your current reality and your desired state, type "I live in the end" in the comments. Please like and share this video and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching. See you next time. There comes a moment in every life when the invisible world leans closer, when the unseen forces that shape your destiny begin to move with a new intensity. You may not see all the details yet, you may not know how it will happen or who will be involved, but you can feel it. A subtle but undeniable stirring. Something amazing is about to shift in your favor. This shift doesn't begin outside of you. It begins the moment you choose to assume a new outcome. The moment you dare to believe that life is working for you, not against you. When you stop rehearsing the worst and start embracing the best. When you no longer cling to old memories of lack, but step into the feeling of abundance. That inner choice sets the entire universe into motion. You must understand that every great transformation begins in the unseen. Just because nothing appears to be happening doesn't mean nothing is happening. A seed doesn't sprout the moment it's planted. It needs darkness, pressure, and time. In the same way, your desire has already taken root. It is swelling beneath the surface, pushing up toward the light, preparing its inevitable manifestation. Many people give up, not because they lack desire, but because they misinterpret delays. They think silence means denial, when in truth, silence is the sacred space where miracles organize themselves. The world around you is adjusting, aligning circumstances, people, opportunities, and timing so that your desire can emerge perfectly. The shift in your favor is not a matter of if, it is a matter of your willingness to feel its reality before it arrives. When life intensifies, when challenges rise, when situations shake, when old structures fall apart, don't panic. That is often the exact moment your new reality is pushing the old one out. The shaking is evidence that the invisible change has begun. The discomfort signals that your former limitations no longer fit you. You are expanding. You are transforming. Something is rearranging itself for your good. Hold firm to the inner vision. Feel the state of the wish fulfilled. Walk as if what you desire is already yours. This is not denial of the current moment. It is mastery over it. Your imagination is not a place to escape from life. It is the place where life is created. When you persist in the new assumption, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. And the moment you claim this shift, truly claim it with feeling, you activate a power that cannot be denied. Doors you thought were closed suddenly open. People who overlooked you begin to notice you. Opportunities that felt impossible begin to unfold effortlessly. It will not be a struggle. It will not be a battle. It will feel as if life itself is ushering you forward. Something amazing is about to shift in your favor, not because you are lucky, not because circumstances magically improve, but because you have awakened to the truth that your inner world commands your outer world. Your belief is the key. Your assumption is the cause. Your inner acceptance is the signal that calls the future into the present. So breathe deeply, stand tall, expect the best with confidence. The shift is already in motion. Your blessing is taking form. The breakthrough is closer than you think. And very soon, sooner than you dare imagine, you will look back at this moment and say, that was the turning point. That was the day everything began to move in my favor. Your amazing shift is on its way. Prepare your mind, prepare your emotions, prepare your life, because what you've been waiting for has already begun. Your inner assumption prepares the path before you long before evidence appears. Most people believe their lives change only when the outer world shifts first, when opportunities show up, or when circumstances finally improve. But the real movement begins within you. The assumptions you hold about yourself, about life, about what is possible, act like quiet architects shaping your future. They build bridges, open doors, and set events in motion long before anything physical can be seen. Your assumption is not a wish or a flimsy hope. It is a silent decision, a deep acceptance of a new reality. The moment you adopt an inner state, the world around you begins to rearrange itself to match it. This inner assumption is a seed. Just as the seed contains the blueprint of the tree it will one day become, your assumption contains the blueprint of the life you are moving toward. You may not see the roots forming beneath the soil, but the seed is alive, expanding, preparing. The same is true for your inner world. When you assume something as true, even before a single outer fact supports it, the unseen forces of life immediately begin responding. People show up at the right time, ideas flow in unexpected ways, conversations occur that guide you, and chances emerge that you had no logical reason to expect. None of this is coincidence. It is the world echoing the assumption you made quietly within yourself. Most individuals wait for evidence to give them permission to believe, but those who create extraordinary lives reverse the process. They believe first. They assume the end. They act from the feeling that their desire is already real. The outer world has no choice but to catch up. Every breakthrough, every shift, every success story begins the exact same way with someone who dared to assume a new truth before the evidence appeared. This is because life is not reacting to your circumstances, it is reacting to your state of being. And your state of being is determined by what you accept as true. When your inner assumption changes, everything else follows. You carry yourself differently. Your tone shifts. Your choices evolve. You stop seeking validation and start standing in certainty. Others can sense this even if they can't explain it. The world mirrors your conviction. What once seemed out of reach becomes accessible. What once felt impossible begins to unfold naturally. This is not magic. It is the natural order of creation. The inner governs the outer. So when you assume that something good is coming your way, when you claim that you are worthy, capable, chosen, supported, and destined for better, you are not lying to yourself. You are planting the seed of your future. You are preparing the path. Evidence may not appear immediately, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Just like a seed pushing its roots into the earth, your assumption is working in the unseen. Stay faithful to the feeling, persist in the inner knowing, because what you assume today will be the life you walk into tomorrow. Life rearranges itself the moment you dare to feel a new reality as true. This is one of the most profound truths about human experience, yet it is also one of the most overlooked. People often wait for tangible proof before they allow themselves to believe in a better future. They think change must come from outside, more money, new opportunities, better conditions. But life does not transform because the world suddenly decides to treat you better. It transforms because you shift your inner state, because you dare to feel a new reality before it shows any sign of existing. The instant you embody the feeling of the desired change, the outer world begins adjusting to align with that inner conviction. Feeling is not a surface emotion, it is an inner acceptance. When you feel a new reality as true, you are not pretending or fantasizing. You are stepping into a different state of consciousness. You are choosing to align with a version of yourself that already possesses the outcome you seek. This internal shift is powerful because your inner world is the source from which all outer events originate. What you consistently feel becomes the pattern your life mirrors back to you. Most people stay stuck because they keep repeating the same emotional responses day after day. They look at their current circumstances and feel discouraged, disappointed, limited, and unworthy. Those emotions solidify the very conditions they wish to escape. But the moment you decide to feel differently, before the world gives you a reason, you begin to break that cycle. You create a new point of attraction, a new magnetic field around your life. Your thoughts become clearer, your actions more aligned, your energy more confident. You begin to notice opportunities you previously overlooked. People respond differently to you. Conversations shift. The world seems to open in ways you never imagined. This rearranging doesn't always appear dramatic at first. Sometimes it's subtle, an intuitive nudge, a new idea, a chance encounter, a sudden moment of clarity. But all of these are signs that the outer world is bending to your inner decision. Life cannot resist the power of a deeply held feeling. Feeling is the language through which you communicate with the unseen forces that shape your destiny. When you feel a new reality as true, you send out a signal that reorders circumstances, draws in new experiences, and dissolves what no longer matches your state. Of course, this requires courage. It takes courage to feel abundant when your bank account is low, to feel loved when you have been overlooked, to feel successful before any recognition comes. Yet that courage is exactly what shifts your entire life. You are not required to force anything. You are only required to feel the end result as if it is already here. When you do this with sincerity and persistence, life must respond. The universe does not wait for outer proof. It responds immediately to inner truth. And the moment you dare to feel a new reality as true, you initiate a transformation that cannot be reversed. The world around you begins reassembling itself to match the world within you. Your only job is to maintain the feeling. The rest unfolds beautifully, inevitably, and often miraculously. Challenges are simply the old state losing its grip as the new state emerges. When you begin to shift internally, when you change your assumptions, your feelings, and your inner conversations, the life you once lived cannot remain the same. The old patterns, the old beliefs, the old limitations start to break apart. This breaking often appears as chaos, confusion, or resistance, but these challenges are not signs that you are failing or moving in the wrong direction. They are proof that something within you is transforming. They are the friction created when your former state dissolves and the new one rises to take its place. Every major change in life has a transitional phase, a moment where the old is still present, but the new has already begun its ascent. This moment can feel uncomfortable because you are stepping out of familiar territory. Your mind may try to cling to what it knows, even if what it knows is painful or limiting. The old state does not surrender quietly. It tries to pull you back into old emotional responses, old patterns of thought, and old reactions, but its power weakens each time you refuse to identify with it. Each time you choose a new feeling or a new assumption, the old state loses more control. Think of it like a room being remodeled. You have torn down the old walls, removed the outdated fixtures, and stripped everything down to the foundation. During this remodel, the room looks messy, chaotic, and incomplete. If you didn't understand the process, you might believe the room is worse than before. But in truth, the mess is a sign of progress. It means the old structure is gone and the new one is being built. The same is true for your life. When challenges appear, it often means the old structure of your identity and circumstances is crumbling so that something better can be constructed. So that what most people call setbacks are actually transitions. What they call breakdowns are actually breakthroughs in disguise. When a new state begins to emerge, whether it's a state of abundance, confidence, love, or success, the conditions that contradict that state must fall away. Relationships that no longer align may drift. Situations that once defined you may dissolve. Internal fears may rise to the surface to be released. This can feel intimidating, but it is not a punishment. It is purification. You cannot take the old state into the new life you are creating. The key is not to panic, not to interpret challenges as defeat, and not to return to old habits out of fear. The discomfort is temporary, but the transformation is lasting. When challenges arise, see them for what they truly are: evidence that the shift has begun, evidence that the internal work you are doing is real, evidence that your new reality is pushing through the soil like a sprout breaking into the light. If you stay loyal to the new state, if you continue to feel its truth even while the old fades, you will witness your world rearrange itself with remarkable precision. The old state loses its grip not because it is forced out, but because you no longer feed it with your belief. And once that happens, the new state emerges effortlessly, naturally, beautifully, becoming the new foundation of your life. What you claim in imagination becomes the cause of tomorrow's breakthroughs. Imagination is not a place of fantasy or escape. It is the workshop of creation. Everything you experience in your outer world has its origin in an inner picture, an inner assumption, an inner feeling you once held, whether consciously or unconsciously. The mind is always creating, always projecting, always shaping the future. When you deliberately claim something in imagination, when you see it, feel it, accept it as already true, you set the cause of future events into motion. The world does not respond to your wishes. It responds to the state you occupy within. Most people underestimate the power of their imagination. They assume it is just in their head, but imagination is the blueprint of your life. Every invention, every innovation, every success story, every relationship, every joyful experience began first as an inner vision. Someone imagined a possibility that was not yet visible. Someone felt the reality of what they desired long before they had any proof, and life reshaped itself around that inner conviction. Imagination is not passive. It is a force that influences the unseen currents of life, drawing circumstances, people, and opportunities into alignment with what you have mentally accepted. When you claim something in imagination, you are not merely thinking about it. You are stepping into its energy. You are assuming the end result. You are occupying the state of the person who already has the breakthrough. This internal shift becomes the source of external movement. It changes the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the intentions you set, and the choices you make. It sharpens your intuition. It awakens creative ideas. It nudges you toward paths you wouldn't have considered before. Even your environment begins to respond differently to you because the world mirrors who you are being within. Breakthroughs rarely happen by accident. They are the byproduct of an internal resonance, a decision to believe in a possibility that contradicts your current circumstances. When you imagine something vividly and persistently, your subconscious accepts it as fact. Once it accepts it, it must express it. The subconscious does not judge, doubt, or argue. It simply manifests the state it has been impressed with. Therefore, your imagination becomes the cause, and your future becomes its effect. Many people hinder their breakthroughs by constantly imagining the worst, worrying, replaying old failures, expecting disappointment. These inner images become causes as well, leading to repeated cycles of struggle. But the moment you choose to claim something new, success, healing, love, abundance, you interrupt the old pattern. You plant a new seed. Even if nothing changes right away, the cause has been set. Life begins to reorganize around your inner reality. Your imagination is your greatest tool, your invisible engine of change. When used deliberately, it becomes a silent power that goes before you, preparing your path. Tomorrow's breakthroughs are not created tomorrow, they are created today, in the quiet moments when you dare to claim a better life within yourself. Persist in that inner knowing. Hold the picture, feel it as true, and in time, what was once only imagined will stand before you as undeniable fact. A shift in your inner conversation instantly alters the direction of your entire life. Most people speak to themselves without awareness. Their inner dialogue runs on old memories, past disappointments, inherited beliefs, and conditioned fears. They repeat the same doubts, the same criticisms, the same worries, and then wonder why life keeps producing the same outcomes. But the truth is simple. Your inner conversation is the script of your future. Whatever you consistently whisper to yourself becomes the path you walk. Change does not begin in action. It begins in the silent words you speak within. Your inner conversation shapes your identity. It determines what you believe you deserve, what you think is possible, and how you interpret every moment of your life. If your inner voice tells you that you are unlucky, life will provide experiences that match that belief. If it tells you that things are always difficult, you will find yourself in situations that reinforce that idea. The outer world is not stubborn, it is obedient and mirrors the tone of your internal dialogue with remarkable precision. You cannot live beyond the story you tell yourself. But the moment you shift that story, even slightly, you change the direction of everything that follows. When you replace, "I never succeed," with "success flows to me naturally," something within you reorganizes. When you shift from "I'm not enough" to "I'm worthy and capable," the world begins to treat you differently. You walk with more assurance. You make choices that align with your new belief. You interpret setbacks not as proof of failure, but as temporary detours. People respond to the energy of your new conviction. Opportunities that once seemed invisible begin to appear. The shift may seem internal, but its consequences ripple outward. Your inner conversation also determines the emotional atmosphere you live in. A fearful dialogue creates a fearful state. A hopeful dialogue creates a hopeful state. A confident dialogue creates a confident state. And it is your state, your internal condition, that attracts experiences. You cannot maintain a joyful inner conversation and continue living in despair. You cannot consistently affirm abundance and remain trapped in lack. Sooner or later, your state must be reflected externally. The most powerful changes happen when you become conscious of your inner speech. Instead of letting old patterns dominate, you begin to deliberately author new narratives. You choose words that support your growth, not undermine it. You remind yourself of your potential. You speak to yourself the way a wise mentor would. Your mind listens, even when the words feel unfamiliar at first. With repetition, the new conversation becomes natural. It becomes your truth. And as your truth shifts, your reality must shift with it. Life bends to the dominant idea you hold within. Every breakthrough begins with a transformed inner dialogue. Every new chapter of your life emerges from a new way of speaking to yourself. So guard your inner conversation, shape it intentionally, feed it with visions of the life you desire. Because the moment you change the way you speak within, you change where your life is heading. A better future begins with a better inner voice. The amazing change you desire is already formed. Your acceptance brings it into sight. Most people believe their dreams are far away, still waiting to be created. They think life must first rearrange itself, circumstances must shift, and opportunities must appear before anything can happen. But the deeper truth is that the reality you desire already exists in potential. It is not waiting to be built. It is waiting to be recognized. The moment you accept it inwardly, you open the channel for it to appear outwardly. Acceptance is not passive. It is an act of creation. It aligns you with the version of life where what you desire is already complete. Think of it like tuning a radio. All possible stations exist in the room around you right now, but you hear only the one your dial is set to. The others are not absent, they are simply outside the frequency you're tuned into. The same is true for your life. Your desired reality is not elsewhere, it is here, in the realm of the unseen, waiting for you to tune your inner state to match it. Acceptance is the tuning. When you accept the end result as true, before any physical evidence appears, you shift frequencies. You align with the version of yourself who is already living that reality. And once aligned, you begin to perceive opportunities, ideas, and pathways that were invisible before. Most block their blessings not because the blessing is missing, but because they cannot accept its existence without proof. They wait for signs, forgetting that the signs come only after the acceptance. They cling to old doubts and limiting beliefs, which act like interference on the frequency. But the moment you release resistance, the moment you stop arguing for your limitations, the moment you say, yes, this is already mine, something within you clicks into place. The change you seek begins to rise into your awareness. You notice synchronicities. You feel guided. You sense that life is cooperating with you rather than resisting you. This shift is not coincidence. It is the result of inner acceptance. Acceptance also changes your behavior. When you accept a desire as already done, you stop acting like someone who is waiting. You begin acting like someone who knows. Your energy becomes calm, confident, and open. You make decisions from a higher perspective. You move with intention rather than fear. You become receptive to help, inspiration, and opportunity. This internal certainty influences the world around you. People perceive your conviction. Situations rearrange to meet your expectation. Life mirrors your certainty. Imagine a person longing for success, but internally believing it is unattainable. They will overlook opportunities, misinterpret signs, and sabotage progress. Yet the moment they accept success as inevitable, their entire orientation changes. They start seeing what was always there. The success didn't suddenly form, it was always formed. Their acceptance simply allowed it to come into view. The same is true for you. The amazing change you desire, whether it's love, abundance, healing, purpose, or breakthrough, already exists in the unseen structure of your life. It is complete, waiting, ready. You do not have to force it or chase it. You need only to accept it with feeling, with belief, with quiet confidence. Once you do, the invisible becomes visible, the future becomes the present, and what was once a hope becomes your lived experience. Your acceptance is the key that brings the finished masterpiece into the light. In the end, every transformation in your life begins within you. The moment you shift your assumptions, your feelings, and your inner conversations, the world responds with equal force. What once seemed distant becomes reachable. What once felt impossible becomes natural. Challenges no longer intimidate you because you now recognize them as signs that the old state is dissolving and the new one is rising. Your imagination becomes your compass, your acceptance becomes your gateway, and your inner certainty becomes the cause of every breakthrough that follows. You are not waiting for life to change. Life has been waiting for you to change your state. And now that you have embraced the truth of who you really are, the shift you desire is already unfolding. Something amazing is moving in your favor. The doors are opening, the path is clearing, and the reality you once longed for is coming into sight. Walk forward with confidence, with faith, and with the quiet knowing that your inner world is creating a future more beautiful than anything you've seen so far. Thank you.